fringe groups have done with September 11, telling us it wasn't planes that flew into the buildings, but holograms or missiles, or that it was an inside job. And here's why we didn't buy the 9/11 crazy talk then or the January 6th lies now. Because we saw them with our own eyes. No matter your political party, our job now is to make sure that we, the people, always keep those eyes open, that we not accept falsehoods, even from our friends, and that we always choose the truth over Trump. Happy to yield now to one of the members of our team, gentlelady from Texas, Jasmine Clark.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to the leader as well as both ranking members. And, of course, it is always a good time when I can be with my good old classmate, Jared Moskowitz. You know, it is so interesting that we stand here and we're talking about relitigating what has been litigated not once, but twice. And now they have decided that they want to go a third round. You see, if we recall, there was a January 6th committee that had come together. And because of the work that was done on that select committee, we ended up with a number of indictments. And when I say a number, I'm not talking about 5 or 6. I'm talking about well over 1,000 people that were indicted. And then after being indicted, meaning that a grand jury was able to hear the evidence and decide that there was enough for the Department of Justice to go forward. We had a number of cases that were tried. We had a number of defendants that actually entered pleas of guilty. So explain to me why it is that now that we have Trump back in office, they decide that they want to litigate this over again. Here's the reality. I can tell you that the results will still be the same. On that day, there was an attempt to tear apart our democracy brick by brick. In fact, they laid the foundation, unfortunately, for what we are experiencing right now. Because if those in power had done what they should have done, which was to go through with an impeachment conviction, none of us would be enduring what we are enduring now. But again, why now do we want to do this? I personally believe that this is about distractions and division. You see, the president doesn't want you to focus on things such as his involvement with the Epstein files. You see, the president doesn't want you to focus on things that he promised on the campaign trail, such as to lower costs for the American people. The president doesn't want you to focus on his failed secretary of HHS and the fact that we know almost 100 children thus far have died from something like measles. He doesn't want you to focus on the things that truly matter to the American people that are trying to survive now. Instead, again, he wants to divide and distract. So let me be clear. We are not going to allow them to whitewash this. In fact, the leader was very thoughtful when he decided to put together this team. All of us know a little something about the law because we've all practiced law. And we are going to make sure that the American people get the truth, no matter how many lies they put out there. On January 6th, Donald Trump not only incited the attack, he doubled down by pardoning those violent insurrectionists. And when did he do that? On his very first day in office. It sends a dangerous message that violence against our democracy is rewarded, not punished. No one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. On this subcommittee, we will follow the facts. We will expose the lies, and we will continue to hold accountable those that tried to overthrow the will of the people, including the president. This is not about Democrats versus Republicans. This is about defending the Constitution we all swore an oath to uphold. The American people deserve honesty, accountability, and leaders who will protect democracy, not tear it down. I am committed to making sure that the American people know the truth about January 6th and remember all those responsible for the defilement of the Capitol. And with that, I will turn it over to Jared Moskowitz.
Thank you, Jasmine. First of all, Leader Jeffries, thank you for the honor to serve with my colleagues under Ranking Member Eric Swaldwell and continuing to serve with Ranking Member Jamie Raskin. You know, for the group that has brought back the measles and is working really hard to bring back polio, it would only make sense that now they want to bring back the January 6th committee. But I give them credit for their consistency. They're talking a lot about D.C. crime. And so I applaud them that they're going to remind the American people with overwhelming video and imagery and pictures and testimony of the largest crime perpetrated on the Capitol since the British. And we will go through this again. We will remind people of the police brutality. We will remind people of the burglary and the vandalism of the Capitol. We will go through each and every single crime that was committed on that day, since the Republicans are talking about crime. And so, you know, listen, this is going to be an absolute waste of taxpayer money and taxpayer time. And so, look, Speaker I'm getting ahead of myself. Speaker Jeffries, look at that. Speaker Johnson, if you're watching, in the spirit of bipartisanship, I think you really should consider putting James Comer in charge of this committee so that he can continue with his service of committees that have wasted countless dollars and time of the American people. And look, we would much rather be doing other stuff. We'd much rather be talking about how we're going to get people health care. We would much rather talk about how we're going to work together to make things more affordable. We would much rather do that. That's what the American people want us to do. But that's not what is going on in this Congress, right? Again, we're in the least productive Congress, only beating the last Congress, which was the least productive Congress. And so, look, as someone who celebrates Hanukkah, Christmas is coming early. We will deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Jared. Questions?
Leader Jeffries, I was here that day, and it was unforgettable. We know that 800 Metropolitan police officers responded to the scene and helped save our lives. Are they also honored on that plaque?
Yes, the plaque honors the law enforcement personnel who were there saving lives at the Capitol at great sacrifice to themselves. And of course, that effort was led by the Capitol Police Department and the Metropolitan Police Department, as well as law enforcement officers from other federal agencies, all of whom we will continue to lift up. Thanks.
And 50 officers from Montgomery County, Maryland.
Yes. And as the distinguished gentleman from the great state of Maryland said, 50 officers from Montgomery County, Maryland, the county that is so ably represented by Jamie Raskin. All of them heroes, all of them who responded to what was one of the saddest, most violent days in American history.
You picked your team, but Speaker Johnson does have the ultimate veto power if he chooses to use it. Have you talked to him about whether or not he's going to approve this?
We let him know our choices for this subcommittee, and there's zero precedent for anyone from the other party determining who's going to sit on a subcommittee if, in fact, they want to take that subcommittee seriously. Thank you.
Question on the other major pressing piece of business, the government shutdown. What is the Democrats' ask in that? There's been some talk about the Obamacare expiring expanded premiums. Is that part of the conversation? What are you guys talking about attaching to the seat?
We're going to focus on topic questions, but I will briefly just answer that, and we'll have more to say throughout the balance of the week. Democrats are prepared to work together to enact a bipartisan spending agreement that meets the needs of the American people, improves their quality of life, and addresses health care, public safety, and their economic well-being. We will not support a partisan spending bill that continues to rip away health care from the American people, period, full stop. Anything else?
Thank you, Leader. Congressman Swalwell just compared Pearl Harbor to January 6th. Do you agree?
I think what Congressman Swalwell said is that there are certain days that will forever live in infamy in terms of the shock to the conscience of the American people. And obviously, the attack on Pearl Harbor is a day that will forever live in infamy for all time. And we're thankful to the greatest generation that stepped up to win that war against the evils of fascism and Nazi Germany. September 11th is also a day that obviously is one that everyone remembers because we witnessed it. And I think Congressman Swalwell was very clear, so let's not try to misinterpret anything that he said, that what happened on January 6th unfolded in front of everyone. We all saw it with our own eyes, and many of us lived through it. And it cannot be whitewashed by Donald Trump, extreme MAGA Republicans, and their propaganda efforts.
Jeffries, Democrats right now are being pounded by Republicans about cities within your states, New York City, Baltimore, Los Angeles, about situations that are happening right now. Whereas you're talking about a situation that happened 4 years ago where an unarmed protester was shot and killed by a Capitol police officer with his own record.
What outlet are you from?
The Washington Times. So
Okay.
I'm curious here, hold on a second. Why is it that Democrats don't want to hold that particular Capitol Hill police officer with any sort of accountability, yet, as far as the cities in which the states that you're from, you don't want to deal with the crime that's actually going on in your own states? And Mr. Raskin,
Is there a question there?
No, I'm laughing at you.
You're
Yeah.
laughing, but a woman was just killed in your state, and you don't want to address that either.
Yeah, I'm not going to address the ad hominem foolishness that was just articulated. But what I will say very clearly is that we have, as Democrats, been very clear that we're going to support local law enforcement, which includes law enforcement on January 6th, the NYPD, the Chicago Police Department, the Metropolitan Police Department, and do what is necessary to help them do their jobs, as opposed to doing what Republicans have done, which is to defund the police and rip away grant funding for local law enforcement. That's the here and now. And Republicans don't want to talk about that. We're not the ones that brought back the January 6th issue. Republicans, to their own peril, have brought back the January 6th issue, and it's not going to work out well for them, which is why that question has nothing to do with the issue of what Republicans have now brought us here to talk about.
And could I add one thing? That question is typical of the anti-police officer propaganda that fuels this whole revisionist attack on the January 6th report. Again, that report has not been contradicted in any way by anyone. And if someone believes it has been, please volunteer it. But what the questioner doesn't seem to understand is the Capitol Police did an investigation and found there was obviously no crime committed by that officer, and that officer did his job in protecting members of the United States Congress, protecting the Vice President of the United States against a rampaging mob, which was yelling, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." The Department of Justice is perfectly aware of the fraudulent allegations that the gentle lady just made, and the Department of Justice has never brought any charges against that police officer. So stop defaming that police officer who did nothing but his job in defense of the Capitol of the United States.
Go ahead, Jenny.
The only other thing that I just wanted to add is that I am tired of us continuing to push a lack of civics in this country. When we were elected to serve in the U.S. House, our main job isn't to do local policing. We have local police, and that is their responsibility. We also have local prosecutors, and that is their responsibility. But when there is an attack on the Capitol, that is a federal issue. And so we need to stop conflating what federal law enforcement should be doing, what local law enforcement should be doing, and who should be doing what. And I also want to point out that it is so rich that the Republicans believe in small government, and this is the